Hello everybody and welcome to another, well actually we're going to go back to box, tail, scoop.
No warning.
No, because basically we realised that although this is also going to be a Gullivlog, we're having to do more than one project at the moment because such is life. It's all actually quite fun and it seems that we keep adding to the random cool projects that we're doing. So I think it's going to get a little bit even more kind of hybrid-y as the weeks go on.
Yeah, it's really quite interesting at the moment, in fact, because we've got a few different bits and pieces happening, all of which could be really interesting if they go ahead. We can't really say too much at the moment because there's really no point until they go a little further along the line.
Yes.
But
we will mention one though, another one
later.
Of course, that you've been working
on. And it does mean that we're going to be mixing up, having to work on different bits and pieces. So really, to say it's just a Gullivlog would be silly because we're not going to be able to keep that up. We're going to have to work on a few different things as well from week to week.
But if you are just interested in Gulliver, we will make sure that we mark out the chapter that we're talking specifically about Gulliver stuff, the chapter or chapters, so that you can just watch those if that's what you're particularly interested in.
Yeah, so that'll be in the description below the video.
That's it. Noel does that bit, I don't actually know exactly what he does. So on Gulliver then, I have carried on with the monkey puppet that I started the fabric body for last week. And I mean, we're not sure yet whether we're going to go fabric or papier-mâché with this particular puppet, but I made his head this week, so he's now a complete little guy. I'm quite pleased with him actually. I think he's quite sweet.
I think he's absolutely adorable.
He's quite funny. I mean, he's not quite finished yet. There would be a few other things that I would want to do with him if we actually decide to use the fabric puppet. But he does do a good jump. I've given him a handle on the back of his head here to operate him by. If we were going to use him in the show, I might also give him a handle on the back of his body for extra stability and help. But actually, because I've braced the legs and the arms, he behaves quite well. With the face, it's safe to say that I had some fights with fabric. It was tricky. I wanted to get this nice bit on the front here, the kind of nose, mouth area. I just tried various different ways. I tried what would have been a simple way if it had worked first, but it didn't work. So I then had to kind of, basically, I got a piece of paper, which I put over the other one, the papier-mâché head, to try and mark out pattern pieces with tuck marks and everything and things so that I could actually get the shape better. And that then worked. And then the back of the head, the main part of the head, is made in the same way as I made the elf puppets for Little Grimm, so it's basically just a ball. But in fact I made a mistake when I made it, so when I'd first stitched it together it looked like a kind of star-shaped weird fruit peach thing. It looked very strange, so I had to re-stitch it on the inside. I realised what I'd done, I'd made it too wide at the widest point. Anyway, that's all a bit boring really, but I fixed it. Just to sort of say that things do not turn out right the first time. They often take a lot of trial and error and mistakes.
I think that's the thing about making something for the first time as well. You know,
exactly.
you have to forgive yourself for making those mistakes because it's trial and error.
Yeah.
And that's the way that you discover what works and what doesn't.
Very much so.
So if it's a brand new shape and something you've not made before, well, why should you expect to get it right the first time?
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I think once you've let yourself off that, it's fun and it doesn't matter when you get it wrong. The ears then, I've just stitched around a little bit to give him a little bit of detail. Which I think works quite nicely, makes him look a little bit more ear-like than just things stuck on the side of his head. And then with the eyes, I experimented with what I like to call the ski mask, which just lifted the eyes a little bit away from the front of his face and gave him that slightly more monkey expression, I think. I'm debating on whether to pin this slightly more in the middle so that it does look a little less ski mask / aviator sunglasses like, but you know, I quite like it. Again, I made a mistake with this actually. I made it separately and stitched it completely flat to the face first, and that didn't work because it just blended in too much. So from a distance, you didn't actually get the sense of it. So yeah, so there he is. I'm quite pleased with him. If we were going to use him in the show, I'd probably put some more detail on him, maybe give him some tufts and things. I might not make him out of white. He's just made out of an old sheet. So that was just some scrap fabric that I had. So that's the monkey. That's where I've got to. Meanwhile, you've been working on the horse. Let's carry on with Gulliver for the time being, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you may remember this fabulous piece of craftsmanship.
It's very clever. Don't sell yourself short.
So yeah, if you remember, the idea was that these frames would hang down and make the shape of the horse. So I thought really the best thing to do was try and make a larger version, a scale version. Whether it ends up becoming the finished thing or not is hard to say. But this is what I've got here. It's a little difficult to fit into the frame, I'm sure, but
we'll show you properly, and we'll do little videos as normal at the end.
But basically, it does exactly. Could you just hold the end
I
of that
will.
and I can tighten that ribbon? I think that will do it.
Yeah, got it?
Yeah. So, as we suggested, these just hang freely. It's gravity that does the work. And then we're going to try putting a piece of material over it and see what kind of shape we get, really, what it looks like and how it moves. But hopefully you get the sense from there of the shape of the horse's head. The really difficult part was that obviously I had to cut these sections out individually, and there's really no kind of frame of reference. It's not like I can sketch out the shape of a horse and you know, draw around it, because you're not creating it from the side, or you're not creating anything that initially is going to look anything like a horse.
No.
So I just had to sort of estimate what I thought the width of a horse's cheeks were. And I think the only other thing that's sort of worth mentioning on that front is that I try to overestimate, because it's always easier to cut it away a little bit than it is to have to build it back up if you've not left enough. So it might be a little wide at the moment. I don't know. We need to try putting some light material over it and try tightening it up, and we'll see what happens. But as far as the concept of it, when you hold it up, when you're standing up and you hold it and you pull it out, it's nice, isn't it? I mean,
I really like it. I think it's really clever.
It's got a nice shape to it already, even if we do have to trim it a little bit. And yeah, I'm excited to see what it looks like with a bit of fabric on it. These ears are very much just placeholders. It's just to give a sense.
I think
of
without
the shape
them, it
of
was
the head.
difficult to recognise it.
It's harder to picture the horse if you don't have a sort of point of reference like that to go, oh yeah, I see what it is now. But yeah, you know, it's turned out all right.
I think it's great, and I'm really excited to try to put some fabric over it. I think in a similar way, I think I'm going to have to fit the fabric quite closely to it, and so that and then cut it away, because we want it to be a little bit more, potentially a bit more raggy over it.
Yeah.
But I think it's really clever.
Yeah.
And the shapes of these slightly reminded us of what are they called?
Yokes. Yeah, yokes or horseshoes or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Which is horseshoes. Exactly.
Yeah. And they were. I mean, it was frustrating to cut them out. It took longer than you might think, because you are trying to measure it and hold them up and get a sense of the 3D shape.
So that's it for Gulliver for this week. So we've just progressed a little further, as you can see, from our last week's ventures with it. And again, next week will be, depending on various things, if we're going to carry on with bits of Gulliver, it'll be adding again to these ones, maybe starting on looking at the Lilliputians again. In other project news, we decided at the beginning of the year, I think probably was it, to revamp our Alice's Adventures in Wonderland that we made back in 2013, I want to say.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
So we wanted to, the adaptation we're very happy with, the general show we're very happy with. It's at the time we had less skill, I think it's safe to say, in puppet making, although the puppets that we had were lovely in many ways. The show was of a certain scale, so what we would like to do is remake the puppets and add to the set so that it could be performed in a larger venue, and also potentially, given the current climate and everything that's going on, we think it's sensible to make it so that the puppets are water resistant to a degree.
So it could be performed outside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you started on...
Yeah, very simply. I mean, there's nothing too much to show here. Again, if you watch the Christmas Carol videos, you'll recognise what we're doing here. It's pretty straightforward. I'm trying to come up with a basic template for these puppets so that we could relatively quickly make the base for the characters in Alice in Wonderland. I might put up a couple of production shots from the original show so you can see that the puppets, although they're all different animals, they all have, they all have a similar base, and we'd be going for the same kind of thing, giving them the features of animals, but obviously they're kind of anthropomorphized, so they're
wearing human clothes,
exactly,
and that sort of thing.
So we're looking not to make it too human a shape. We're trying to give it a slightly more animal shape. So if you put bunny ears on it, then obviously it would be appropriate. Or if you put a duck's bill on it or something like that, it's got a slightly more animal shape to it. I'm just building the top of the head at the moment with the usual kind of what would you call that, hand-operated mouth. And I've just started on this to give us a basic template, and if we get the size right and if we're happy with it, then we can make a few of these, and then we can build the rest of the characters off that.
Yes. For that show, really, well, as you'll see if you do put some production shots up, one of the things that we like about the original version of it, which in fact has, if you've seen our version of Northanger Abbey, it's those puppets but with animal features and different wigs added to them. But the good thing about that is that their heads are relatively similar in size to a human head. So in terms of distance and visibility, they are actually they're quite good for that. So we didn't want to lose that with the new puppets, and also we don't want to lose the costumes either. We kind of want to try and keep those for these new puppets. So.
But yeah, I mean, it's a case of revisiting the whole thing and just giving it a polish and refreshing some of the ideas and seeing what we can add to it.
Yeah, so that's been our week this week. We will, I've no doubt, have different things to talk to you about next week. But in the meantime, if you could do all the stuff.
Hit like, leave us a comment if you want, and if you've been enjoying the videos, possibly even subscribe. That would be fantastic.
And we'll see you next week. Thank you.